Now that the new Pixel 10a was announced, does that mean the Pixel 9a is not worth it in 2026? Well, let's talk about it. Don't forget to hit that hype button down below so more people see this video. One reason the Pixel 9a might actually be the better option is going to be the price. The Pixel 10a starts at $499, where you can find the Pixel 9a at least $100 less in most cases. The Pixel 9a, just like the Pixel 10a, starts with 128 gigabytes of storage and has 8 gigabytes of RAM. You can also go up to 256 gigabytes of storage, again, just like the Pixel 10a. The Pixel 9a is also IP68 dust and water resistant, just like the newer version, although this one is 3 grams heavier than the Pixel 10a for some reason. The Pixel 10a might have a slightly brighter 6.3-inch display, but not by much. We're talking 1800 nits versus 2000 on the Pixel 10a, and 2700 nits peak brightness versus 3000 on the 10a. Some more similarities: the Pixel 9a P OLED display has up to 120 Hz refresh rate and the same resolution at 1080 by 2424 pixels. The bezels do seem a little bit larger than on my Samsung phone, but I feel like the Pixel 10a is going to be almost identical. I don't know if the camera design on the back is my favorite, but build quality for this phone is actually pretty nice for the category. This phone also has Gorilla Glass 3 versus Gorilla Glass 7i on the Pixel 10a, but as some people might say, glass is still glass. Chances are once I have the new Pixel 10a next to this phone, there's not going to be much of a difference doing most day-to-day things, but I do have to say the display on here actually looks pretty good in person, especially considering the price. The nice thing is this phone actually has a physical SIM card, unlike the Pixel 10 and Pixel 10 Pro XL, which definitely make it a little easier to switch back and forth between phones. This has a 5100 milliamp hour battery, just like the Pixel 10a. And yes, this one does have slightly slower charging at 23 watts versus 30, and only 7.5 watt wireless charging versus 10 watts on the Pixel 10a, but not a big enough difference in my opinion. The Pixel 9a did last about 15 hours at 100% screen brightness in my typical battery drain test, so I'll be curious to see how that compares to the Pixel 10a, but if I had to guess, it's going to be very similar. Of course, when it comes to the software, the Pixel 9a will have the latest and greatest version of Android and will look and feel almost identical to the Pixel 10a, but since it's 1 year older, you've only got 6 years of software updates left versus 7 years for the Pixel 10a, but considering the cost difference and how long people keep their phones before switching to something else, that may be worth it for most people. The software on Pixel phones are usually nice and smooth, and that's the case with this one. Again, it's going to look and feel very similar to most other Pixel phones. It's not going to be the fastest fingerprint scanner out there, but it seems pretty reliable. And of course, you have Gemini as the assistant. Like most Android phones now, you're going to get all the AI stuff like Magic Eraser, Circle to Search, and so on. But the amount of software updates you'll get with this phone definitely makes it a better option compared to some of the competition for people looking for a more affordable phone, but yet still have quite a few features. Now, performance-wise, this has the Google Tensor G4 processor, just like the newer Pixel 10a, and it's not going to be a huge surprise, but with the same RAM and processor, you can expect the same performance on this phone as the new Pixel 10a. I can only see a couple reasons why you may want the Pixel 10a over this one, but when it comes to performance, that's definitely not going to be the reason. Now, I feel like the speakers on here are probably loud enough for most things, and again, they're probably going to be identical to the Pixel 10a, but here's a quick sample just to give you an idea of what it sounds like.
As you
This phone has a 48 megapixel wide angle lens there on the back with a 13 megapixel ultra wide. Again, just like the Pixel 10a, so you can expect the same quality of photos and video from this phone as the newer version. It can also shoot up to 4K resolution, 60 frames per second for video recording. Again, just like the Pixel 10a, I feel like unless you want the newer color options or that extra year of software updates, the Pixel 9a is basically like getting a cheaper version of the Pixel 10a with the same performance, similar screen and camera quality, plus software features, which is gonna make the Pixel 9a probably one of the best values in 2026. So definitely a lot of things to consider with this phone, but to me, most of them are pointing towards getting this over the newer 10a, especially considering the price difference. But if you like phones, tablets, and other tech, I've got a lot more stuff that I'm working on as usual, so you'll want to keep an eye out for those upcoming videos. So if you've made it this far into the video, you may want to say thanks by subscribing, and don't forget to give a thumbs up if this video was helpful. This is Brian from Fishbee Productions. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.